Hello everyone, today I'm taking a look at Selaco. This was a game where I really didn't hear much about it. I heard a few good reviews or some people, but I kind of went out on a limb for this one because usually I only go and pick up something if someone else is praising it, say, oh, you gotta play it. But this one I was kind of not sure about it, but it's really good. It definitely is a Doom clone, but it's so advanced and almost so far away, it may not even feel like that when you play it or as you are experiencing it. I mean, the first thing is that it's built off GZ Doom, which I'm not exactly sure exactly how the WADs and whatever work, but that's essentially the same engine that Brutal Doom is based off of. And Brutal Doom was this very long in the works mod or WAD for Doom to make it play more modern. So it had things like reloading weapons, which, oh yeah, no, this has reloading weapons. It has things like when you run around and you you can kick enemies' heads after they've been killed, which I think was introduced in, I'm not sure, one of the Quake games or in like Doom 64 or something weird like that. So it's a compilation of a bunch of FPS mechanics that have evolved over the years that kind of looked back at the original Doom and the basic components of that style of gameplay and decided, what if we just kept evolving this style of gameplay rather than innovating in the overall architecture and make things like GoldenEye or Halo or whatnot, which is kind of, and Call of Duty, which is kind of the standard now. So they kind of go back to that old school style and still with innovations within that same overarching or overall framework. That being said, there's some very quirky, interesting things about Selaco that I find very interesting and amusing. So, I mean, it's a very typical thing. You start the game, you have a gun, you pick up ammo from around the map, enemies don't drop anything. You kind of go through the areas, there are secrets, hidden things, power-ups, health, armor, etc. You get to the end of the level, and it ranks you in all the things that you got or all the things you missed. But what was really surprising to me is that you can tell that the developer had a bunch of different things they wanted to integrate into this game. So one thing it has is safe rooms, which I swear to God, the safe room theme is almost a pitched version of Resident Evil. The very first. Actually, I'm thinking of the GameCube version, so I'm not sure if that's when that theme was introduced. But the safe room theme is very iconic. It sounds very similar. But the safe room basically functions as a place to upgrade your weapons, so you're always on a constant kind of pace to upgrade things and whatnot. And what's interesting is that as you go through each kind of level, the safe room actually upgrades. So soon you unlock a firing range and I forgot something else, and then a transit system. And this is the part that really, really threw me for a loop, because the transit system allows you to go back to previous safe rooms and previous levels. And it makes it a very kind of weird, interconnected thing where I guess it's nice that, it allows you to kind of go back and do all your achievements and accomplishments rather than just replaying the game, having to re-kill all the enemies. But it also means that all of your ammo and everything, and all your pickups are also very limited. And so once you've picked something up, even if it was a little bit of ammo, it's gone. And even in that sense, it's also very innovative in the fact that in most FPS, if you have, like, if you use 5 bullets or whatever, and you have a pickup that's worth 20 and you pick it up, you just get 5 bullets. You don't get like extra or whatever. And here, you can pick it up and grab it, but it'll actually still remain there and tell you how many bullets are remaining in that pickup. And it can't be moved or whatever, so it's kind of like a permanent thing to refuel your character's ammo supply. And I found it really interesting that the typical way most Doom WADs or even the original Doom work is that you get a gun and then you get so much ammo for that gun that you never think about or never worry about running out of ammo. For the first half of Selaco, and I should have mentioned this is an open access game, so it's not technically done yet, but the first chapter is like it took me 10 hours, so it feels like a full game to me. So it feels like he's making a sequel even though he's calling it chapter 2. The first half of that game, I was pretty low in ammo for quite a while, and I really prefer that, to be honest with you, because I much prefer a game that forces me to master all the tools in my toolbox and forces me to say, okay, for this section I should have used the sniper rather than the shotgun or whatever, and you begin to adapt. And then it forces you in very specific situations, like, oh man, I don't want to use this weapon because maybe I kind of hate it, but I'm out of ammo for everything else. And then you find out a certain trick with it or something, and you figure out, oh, okay, this is what you actually have to do. Or you figure out some, exploit or something. So it encourages you experimentation. I like how it forces you to definitely think more strategically about the ammo you use, because like in most scenarios in FPS games, what unfortunately happens is once you find the most effective weapon and you have just infinite ammo for that weapon, you are just going to use that weapon over and over and over again, and the game gets kind of unintentionally repetitive and boring. So that's one thing that I really did like about Selaco, is the first half you were pretty low in ammo, to the point where like, okay, I really cannot shoot the environment or experiment or have fun blasting away a bunch of wine glasses or something. I need to really conserve my ammo. And by the end of the game, they give you a tons of ammo, and of course they kind of have to do that for like the final boss encounter if you've really been bad with your ammo conservation, whatever. There's also a bit of platforming, a little bit of puzzle solving, but not really. I mean, this is mostly a Doom focused game. It's really focused on how many things you can kill and how fast you can kill them and how much fun you have killing things. I do like the certain aspects of it, though. You're fighting these generic soldier guys, and the story so far, and they kind of reveal it as the story goes on through like data pads and emails and stuff like that you pick up. Essentially, Earth was destroyed by solar flares, and so everyone basically retreated to this other planet called Selaco, and I have no idea where it is or what it was. For a second I thought we were actually on a ship, but no, you're actually on a planet. But the thing is, I think the like where you are in this giant city, this kind of mega structure, it has a fake sky, and at a certain point in the game, the sky malfunctions and everything goes dark, and it's actually super spooky. I really enjoyed it. There's also one section where it's like Resident Evil. You go into like the underground plant, biological lab section, and they have these plant zombies coming around, and you have to fight a new enemy type, which is kind of cool. Something else I like are that the soldiers actually have this like pinkish blood, so it feels, I'm sure there's a lore reason for it, but it feels censored in a certain way that I actually appreciate. Like, you don't know why they have this, but it looks really cool. Especially when you blow them up, because it's just this, if you actually hit them directly with a grenade, it becomes like a pink mist, and it's really cool, honestly. And there's still technically gore, but it just feels a bit more abstract, and I appreciate it for that, I guess. In terms of weapon selection, you start with an assault rifle, then you get like a Magnum handgun, shotgun, obviously, sniper, plasma rifle, and then you have grenades, landmines, and freeze grenades. Definitely kind of eternal based there. And most of the guns can be upgraded or given like a secondary fire or an alt thing. So by default, all the guns, if you right click, they'll just zoom in, but you can pretty much unlock anything for a weapon, so that for like the Magnum, for example, you can do a double tap. For the assault rifle, it'll go into burst fire mode. For the shotgun, you'll load a slug instead of a bird shot. For other weapons, they'll shoot like there's also a grenade launcher, which is really cool. And again, very similar to Resident Evil, it shoots explosive, ice, and acid rounds, which is very cool. So there's a bit of a melange of things here. Doom, obviously, Resident Evil, the newer Doom Eternal games and whatnot. But it feels really solid. And in fact, what really struck me is that I spent the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game just interacting with the environment. The fact you can pick up almost anything in the environment, There are certain things like sandwiches and hot dogs that you can eat for extra health up to 100% and then everything over that is like through bonus things. The fact that you can interact with a lot of the environment, you can click the mouse and it makes a mouse sound, you can manipulate the keyboards and the computers and whatnot, and everything's kind of sort of pixelated style, but it all kind of functions like a real world object, more or less. Of course, there are explosive barrels and other things, but there are light switches, there are door buttons, there's a lot of interactability in the level that just feels good. And what also is really good is that all the items kind of react to you no matter what, so you can blow up anything, you can destroy any object. I mean, not the walls. Actually, no, you can destroy certain walls. There's in fact, there's a lot of walls that are hiding secrets and they have cracks in them. You can usually blow them up for a secret, which is really cool. There are also other things like these little Roombas that have like turrets on them. You can also find your own turrets, position them somewhere. So there's a lot of ways to interact with the environment, and everything in the environment does react. For example, even things like piles of paper or cardboard boxes, if you shoot them, they won't just disappear, they'll explode in a big thing of papers flying. So I don't know, it just reminds me of what Gabe Newell said about Half-Life, is that the environment has to react to what the player is doing. It always has to react in some way. And that's true. If you hit like a window, even though it's indestructible, it'll still leave a mark. All the doors and everything and the walls, they leave bullet holes. So this feels like a collection of all the kind of best practices of FPS games that we've become accustomed to, and they're just all congregated here. And so on the whole, Selaco, it's a very solid overall experience, but in terms of bringing anything new to the playing field, I'm not super confident I can really point to anything, except that it expects you to go back and forth between levels, finding secrets, using a transit system, and things like that. I just don't. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. It encapsulates a lot of the things that I really like from all other FPS games. It's kind of like, in terms of its quality, even it's very much a pinnacle of even the whole, new Doom or boomer shooter family. Like it's very good. It's very well made. It's definitely quality. The shotgun also feels very powerful because it's just slow to reload. Like even the pump feels very realistic. Usually in most games you're used to the pump action being whatever, but here you actually have to kind of watch the character pump it. It's very fast paced, it's fun, it's overall good. It has a fairly interesting aesthetic, kind of. And the story is that you play as Dawn, who is part of like this mercenary group called the Aces, and basically she's gone rogue or something. It does not spend a lot of time on the story or the lore. It's kind of there if you want to read it. I think the good/bad thing about most of the dialogue are the like the little data things you pick up and read them. Some of them feel like actual real emails, which is incredibly boring to read, and some of them are kind of meta narrative text, like here's the pass for the door code, essentially. And the only thing that really I think separates Selaco from its other competitors maybe is that it's a lot. I mean, it's fast-paced action, but it's kind of slower pace, and the fact that you don't have as much ammo as you would like. You don't have to rely kind of on your resources in the environment. You definitely have to think about things like exploration a little bit more, and just kind of finding secrets in the environment, and just the fact it's fairly long for what it is. I guess I was expecting it to be kind of shorter since it's early access, but this kind of feels like the base game of what Doom would be, and then you have all of the kind of expansions like Thy Flesh Consumed and Inferno and all the rest of it. So I feel like that's what he's trying to go for with the development of this game. Again, like just on the aspect of interactability, there's this one level where they have an arcade and you can play all the pool tables and the arcade machines, and there's one called Super Bro, which is like an arcade shooter thing. So yeah, it's got some things going for it. I'm still reminded of a quote I heard by John Romero, who said that when you're in game development, make the last level first. So you work backwards in the sense that by the first level, you've kind of figured out all the mechanics, how everything works in the game and how everything interacts. And you can kind of get the best flow and the best presentation at the very beginning and then pad it out from what you've learned. And I think that's kind of interesting because here, this is going to be like a multi-year project, presumably. And I just don't know where Selaco is going to go. I don't know how it's going to evolve and change and become a thing greater than itself, because it would almost benefit it to kind of end the story and start from scratch and make a whole new system, because I feel like there's a lot more room for innovation in that sense. But then again, you want to keep that player base and grow it, and I understand, you know, all the hurdles of making a game like this. But yeah, I would honestly give this a chance, even though it's not finished. It gives you like a full, like almost 8-hour campaign, and it's very, very solid. Again, the only thing really missing is like music is hit or miss. Sometimes there's some really good, there was one really good track, and then there were some levels like the underground horror Resident Evil-ish level where there was literally no music, and that was kind of spooky, but there's not even ambience. There's not even like a Metroid Prime drone in the background or anything. It's just silence, which is like not super, I don't know, whatever. Doesn't work super well. But yeah, everything else, you know, everything works, everything's functional, it's very fun. But in terms of turning Selaco into something that is super distinct rather than, oh yeah, this is a really good boomer shooter, I wish I could point to something else, and I just can't. It has key cards, it has ammo, it has pickups, it has, you know, everything that you're used to seeing, but just done better. But I do think there's a lot of possibility for innovation. I'm just very hopeful for it in the future, and I'm, I guess, kind of excited to see when Chapter 2 comes out. But yeah, I would give this one an absolute try. It's definitely cool, definitely very nice, and something that was just very high quality for what you're paying. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I got to say about Selaco. I'll see you guys later. Bye.